Right, Tom, the sexiest office furniture man I've ever seen in my life.
Appreciate that.
So, right, let's kind of see what you're doing at the moment. So, at the moment, you've got your office furniture business that's a great success, and then you're also doing, is it motivational speaking?
Yeah, so the office furniture, education furniture business, my dad started that 30 years ago. He retired in 2021. Myself, my brother and my sister took over. The public speaking, Tom's Talks, I started in 2019, and that stemmed from sadly losing my brother to suicide, me having my own struggles with my mental health.
As a result of that, I'm assuming.
As a result of that, yeah. And then basically the motivation behind the talks is to say I lost my brother to this, I then had to deal with this, but now I run this business. I'm doing really well, I feel really good, so if I can do it, anyone can do it. And then the coaching side of the business is what I started about a month ago. Basically, I was thinking about this earlier, I think my main insecurity as a person is the fact that I felt like I wasn't good enough, that I couldn't save my brother. So whatever I can do to help other people, I'm going to do. And that coaching really stemmed from that, which is all about, like, anybody can achieve whatever they want, they just have to have the right mindset. So if I can give them the tools to equip them with, to have that, then they can do that. So it's basically just looking at what they're doing day to day, breaking down the routine, breaking down the habits, seeing what's working, seeing what's not working, and then basically implement better habits. Because really, you're just a product of your habits at the end of the day, aren't you? So if you can give them the tools they need to have better habits, then
structure.
They're off to a flyer, really.
Right.
So yeah, started that a month ago, and that's done a lot better than I expected in quite a short period of time. So
you've got, in theory, you've got like 3 arms to your
essentially,
business,
yeah.
right? Okay, amazing.
Yeah, so it's keeping me busy.
So office furniture to start with, I kind of messaged you initially because I thought, do you know what? First of all, why not modelling? Because you're a good-looking dude, do you know what I mean? I was like, surely, like, look at this guy. And I'm like, honestly, great shape. And I'm thinking, office furniture? Do you know what I mean? So now it explains to me why you actually went into it, because it was a family business.
Yeah.
Obviously, you saw great thing and you could make it better, sort of. Yeah. How's that day to day then? Like, is it interesting in running?
Oh, I love it. I love
Yeah,
it. It's quite
yeah.
interesting though, because a lot of people don't know that, you know, a lot of people will see me and think, oh, well, his dad just give him that, which is not the case.
Of course.
I actually said to my dad when I left college, I said, I don't want to go to uni, can I not just come work for you? And he was like, absolutely not, no, you're not working for me. You need to find your own way in life. So I was like, oh, fuck, right, okay, what am I going to do?
Right.
So I went to uni, basically, went for freshers, spent all my money and then fucked it off.
Which, to be fair, I think a lot of people do that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I think a lot of people go to uni and they need to get that shit out of the system before they can graft. So a lot of people that come to me and say, oh, I want to start personal training, what do I do? I said, absolutely do not go to university.
Yeah,
the biggest waste of money. Just 100%. Save your money, go get a diploma in personal training and crack on working.
Yeah,
go get your travelling, all that shit out of your system, your uni, your shagging, all that, and then go to work, you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. But after that, I remember it clear as day, I picked my dad up from the airport.
Yeah.
And I was like, Dad, it's not going well, I don't want to do it. And he was like, why? Explained various reasons. And he was like, well, don't think you're going to come work for me because you're not.
Brilliant. Old school.
So again, I was like, fuck, right, what am I going to do? So I went and worked in Meadowhall. My dad, we're from Penistone, so Meadowhall was only 20 minutes away. I basically went that day with a CV and just walked around all the shops in Meadowhall, handing my CV out, said, I need work, have you got any availability? And luckily I walked into a shop and I saw the guy and I knew him and he was the manager and he was like, yeah mate, you can start tomorrow. So it was brother to brother in Meadowhall. I don't know if you've ever been. It sold like Ralph Lauren and designer gear, which I quite liked at the time.
I was going to say, you definitely suit the designer.
I've thrived off it, and that was the first sort of aspect of sales that I had. Standing on the shop floor, and people coming in, and then I'd be straight up like, "Oh, is there anything I can do to help?"
Yeah.
But basically, I did it for a month. But I think where my dad, I 100% see where my dad was coming from, and I'm so glad he did it the way he did it. He didn't want to. Like for me to feel like, oh, you just can walk straight into a job.
Go show me what you've got, then come back. Yeah.
So then there was one evening in particular, because this was coming up. So I started uni in September. I left probably mid to the end of October, and then this was November, and I worked up towards Christmas. So loads of hours, Christmas sales and all that. And there was one evening where I left at 11 o'clock at night to go to work, and obviously my dad was about to go to bed. He was like, "Where are you going?" I said, "I'm going to work." And he was like, right.
He's got some graft on him. Right.
So then he said to me the next day, like, right, you can start in January. and now I'm managing director. So,
Brilliant,
yeah,
brilliant.
Worked out quite well.
So, like from a figure point of view, right? So, just to show people that obviously you didn't just get given this Ferrari of a business.
Yeah.
I'm assuming the business was doing X, and then you've got it up to 3 times. What have you done with the business so far?
So basically, it's what it says it all in there. To be fair, but my dad retired, and we did 3 million.
Okay.
And then
turnover, I'm assuming.
Turnover, yeah.
Of course.
Fucking hell, I wish that was net
Profit, bloody hell.
Yeah. Yeah, so we did 3 million turnover, and then in the first year, between myself, my brother, and my sister, I said I think a fair target, realistically. You know, my sister had just got on maternity leave as well, so she was absent for half the year, and she's one of the main salespeople. I said, if we can do 3 million again, you know,
without your dad,
without his dad, I'll be happy with that. And then we ended up doing 4 million.
Amazing.
So like 30-40% increase.
Yeah.
And then from there, I was like, fucking hell, well, that went a lot better than expected. I said, I think we can do 4.5 and then 5. So our financial year actually ends in October, and we're on target to do 4.5.
Fantastic. Good.
So we said initially, if we can get from 3 to 5 in 5 years, I'll be buzzing.
Yeah.
So might end up doing it in 2 years.
And what do you think you did differently to the old school way of your dad? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What did you think was wrong with the old school sort of, things that were in place? And what did you go, well, we could do this? Was there a few key areas that you kind of improved?
There was a few elements. There was a bit of, we just come out of COVID and customer, like complete honesty, like we just come out of COVID, a few customers had not spent because of COVID, and then they obviously started spending again. So there was an increase there, which is obviously nothing to do with me. That just is what it is. But the main thing, and I always say this to everybody, the main thing that I did, and this is not taking anything away from my dad because he's a brilliant guy and he's a brilliant businessman, but going back to that old school mentality, I basically sat every single person down in the business and said, look, you know what's happened with my family, you know what's happened with my brother, you know I'm a big advocate for mental health. I want us to work together. I have this vision and I want you to buy into that vision and we're going to do it together. Are you in? And everyone since then has worked a lot harder because of that.
So you turned everyone into a team player.
Yeah, exactly.
Get you.
So everyone is always, don't get me wrong, like no one's buzzing coming to work every day, but I feel like the culture is much better and there's a lot more work ethic and a lot more hard work and a lot more smarter work as well, because rather than it being me at the top and then everybody else, it's me, my brother and my sister and everyone at the top. And they're all buying into what the vision is. Because I've said, wherever I go, you're coming with me.
So I feel like if your brother passed, was it a fair few years ago, are these lessons you learned to then bring into the business? Because
100%.
without, so in theory, almost like a blessing in disguise, God forbid, it's horrendous that, isn't it? Teaching you certain things.
Don't get me wrong, I'd give absolutely anything to see my brother one more time, but I believe that everything happens for a reason, and you know, you are a product of your adversity. You overcome your adversity, and that makes you a stronger person. And I would not be who I am today, and I would not be where I am today if that had not happened to my brother.
It's mad, that, isn't it?
And that's the way you should see life. A lot of people have a victim mentality and a victim mindset. They see life happening to them when really you should see it happening for you. And when you start to see that, then your life changes in an unprofound way.
Absolutely. So where do you see the office furniture world going? Is that your main focus at the moment? Is it the mentoring and the coaching side of things? Where are you split between the two? Where's the love?
So at the minute, in terms of split, I love them both. Like I'd say my main passion and fulfillment comes from helping other people, but I think there's an element of that within this business as well, because I'm trying to help the people within this business become better people and better with what they're doing and earn more money, etc. But if you look at my day-to-day routine, it's very much split. Like, for example, I was saying earlier, I get up at the crack of dawn just to get to the gym, otherwise I won't have time. But obviously there's an aspect of it, gives you more energy, etc. So gym at 5, 6, work OSI till 5, 6, and then I went Tom's Talks till bed.
Okay, get you.
So there is a split. I'd say this, obviously, with the everything in place and the amount of staff and the turnover, obviously takes priority.
Of course.
But there's still a massive emphasis on the other side of the other business as well.
So do you want to do anything like, do you want to get up to 10 million?
That's the goal, yeah.
10?
Yeah. So we took on a business development manager in February. She's absolutely smashing it, but to cover Manchester. So eventually when she starts to build the revenue in that area to a certain point where we logistically can't do it from here, we then set up a branch and operate from there and expand that way.
Wow.
And then we're just in the process of hiring another business development manager from the Midlands, and then again duplicate what we've done here, there, and there.
Brilliant.
And then go from 4 to 5 to 10.
Amazing.
And then fuck knows where else. See what
Do you know
happens.
what? It's incredible how many stubborn people there are that don't ask for help. You wouldn't be able to get the 10 million if you didn't go
100%.
hunting for the right people to, you know what I mean? So that's definitely something I would advise people do. Go head hunting for the right people to actually grow your business, and don't just stand still.
Yeah.
Everyone loves progression, don't they?
Of course they do,
You know what I mean? So to the talk stuff then, 'cause this is interesting, and like I say, I think you're great personal skills, man. Do you know what I mean? So obviously being the the salesman in Meadowhall will have helped that. I'm assuming you were, I don't know, did you do anything back in the day? Were you a sportsman? What was your sort
So
of...
I was saying about Rob Bowman at Muscle Unit, so I worked there.
Okay, right, okay.
Yeah, so I left school and I needed a job, and I knew Rob sort of, and I remember going to his open day, and I said, and again, this is probably stemmed from why I work so hard, I said, oh, I need a job, and then a few things happened in his life, and then he was like, oh, yeah, I need somebody to come work, and I had to be there at 5 o'clock every day for like the first 6 weeks.
You got into the habit and the routine of working.
From a very early age, so what was I, 16, but I loved it. Like,
amazing.
I've been training in the gym since I was 13 years old. Right. So for me, having a job in the gym was like the perfect thing.
Absolutely.
I was going to work to train, eat chicken and do everything else that you did. I loved it. So that was essentially my first real job.
Okay.
But I'd been working part-time for my dad since I was 13, 14.
So do you feel like you're just kind of like that cheeky kid that always kind of just talks no matter what? No confidence issues.
Definitely.
Get you. So that's where your sort of personal skills have come from then, just your personality in general. Yeah. Okay. So, and then, go on and tell me what happened with your brother then, obviously, because this is what's shaped you into who you are today then.
So sadly, you know, as a family, we had a really good upbringing. My dad had done really well from a very early age, and we had a lot more than other kids. You know, I'm never unknown to the fact that we were very privileged and lucky growing up. But unfortunately, that's not always the case. Like, everybody can take a different path.
Of course.
And Liam was the kind of kid, and I say this to everybody, and I say this in my talks, that you could put him on a desert island with no drugs, no booze, no crime, and he would find drugs, booze, and crime.
Really?
It was just like, he was my best mate.
Magnet to it.
It was a fucking nightmare.
Was he older or younger?
Yeah, he was 3 years older than me.
Older,
so I'm the youngest.
Yeah.
So
because you're how old?
27.
27.
Yeah.
So you were 30.
So Liam would be 30.
Yeah.
Gemma's 33, and Alex is 34.
Yeah.
So we were, because of the age gap, we were really, really close.
Of course.
But unfortunately, you know, he just made wrong decisions in life and chose to hang around with the wrong people. You know, you're a product of your environment, and his environment wasn't very good. But the worst thing that happened, and the most pivotal point, was when he was 16, he got knocked off his scooter, you know, moped, whatever. And it fucked him up, basically. He was in hospital for a long, long time.
Talking years, months?
Months, yeah.
Okay.
Gave him brain damage, like broke loads of different bones. He was in a coma for quite a while.
Was this someone hitting him?
Yeah. So he basically pulled out. Sorry, no, he was coming down the main road, and someone pulled out, and basically he just went straight into it. And from that, as you can probably imagine, he experienced a lot of trauma, and mentally, you know, it
was never the same again.
It was never the same, and that was where I think a lot of his insecurities and his depression started to stem from. Like, I'm 27 now, this happened when I was 19. At the time, I was very naive to everything of what was going on, and everything that I've done since then, I understand it a lot better and why various things happened. But the worst thing that happened was when he turned 18, because it wasn't his fault, he got 50 grand in compensation. So unfortunately, ketamine was his drug of choice. So imagine turning 18, you're going out in Barnsley, you're hanging around with the wrong people, you're taking ket or ketamine or whatever, and then you just give them 50 grand. It's a recipe for disaster, isn't it?
What did you, I'm assuming, was he close to your dad?
Yeah, he was, at the end of the day, mate, like, if you're a dad or a mum and your son's doing that, at the time, obviously they would have done things very differently, but what you're meant to do when you've got an 18-year-old lad. I
suppose you can't, he's 18, you can't really take the 50 grand off him, can you?
Because
you'd just invest it for him, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
but then he's 18,
of course you would. So,
bloody hell.
You know, there's a lot of hindsight's a wonderful thing in it. You do a lot of things very differently, but obviously it is what it is.
It's the ultimate downer drug. Obviously, brother had a bar in town, and I saw some seriously nasty drugs, man, honestly. And obviously we used to go out a lot, and oh man, it just changed.
I never understood it, mate. I never understood, like, you know, people will dabble in this and that and they'll take this, but I could never understand why he took it, because for me, taking it just looked like a zombie.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, why the fuck are you taking this drug?
Yeah.
Now, knowing what I know and everything about mental health,
It's an escape, wasn't it?
this is it, mate. This is what he used to say to me, and at the time I didn't understand. But now, knowing what I know about mental health, he used to take it because he wasn't happy in his own reality, and it was just him self-medicating, and it was his escape from reality. He used to say, when I take it, I'm in a different universe. So he wasn't happy in his own reality.
He was in a happy place when he was on it, but so do you think it was a case of kind of he's fried his own brain, and then he's had to, he's kind of talked himself into this negative hole, hasn't he, really? Right.
And then, so that was an
starting point.
Yeah, it was an addiction from 18 to 22 when he passed away. But he had a short stint, and this was probably one of the most upsetting things, that he had a short stint in Australia where he went to get away from it all.
So to kind of look after himself.
Yeah, and
nice.
he said to me, like, he was always honest with me. He said he touched MD while he was out there, but he never came across Ket. And I was like, right, well, you can go 9 months without taking it. You don't need it.
Yeah, live in Oz.
Yeah, he came back. Well, we said to him, fucking stay there.
Yeah.
But he came back because we were that close, and he missed us. And the day he came back the day before my birthday to surprise me. And the day he came back, he got straight back on it.
Fucking hell.
I was like, fuck me. So,
slippery slope, that, innit?
yeah, and then, so that was in the December, and then unfortunately in the October, obviously from then he was still struggling with addiction. My dad had gone on holiday. He'd gone to work, I'd gone to work, and then he came back after ignoring me all day. We'd had a massive argument about his addiction, and then I found him 15 minutes later, and sadly he'd hung himself.
Bloody hellfire. So you were the first person to find him.
Yeah.
So that's obviously going to affect anyone massively. I mean, my story of me watching my dad die in front of my face, who was, the biggest legend ever at 12, is nothing in comparison to that. Because he's in a hospital bed holding his hand, you're kind of prepared for it. Coming into a room, no wonder you're such a positive person after that shit. Do you know what I mean, man? But thank God you've used it, you've harnessed it, and you've gone, right, this is all I've learned. I'm still here. After all that shit, have it. So for anyone not to take your advice on board is absolutely bonkers, mate. Do you know what I mean? Because I feel like a lot of people, they cook their own brain, so to speak. They might not be in a bad situation, but they start this kind of, this wheel of just self-destruction, and it gets worse and worse, and they decide not to help themselves. If you sort it straight away after a couple of weeks of kind of having negative thinking, you'll be fine. If you let it keep going and going and you don't help yourself, you are going to be fucked eventually, aren't you? Do you know what I mean?
And I say this in my talks quite a lot. I say that you can have everybody there for you. You can have all the doctors, all the advice, everything there for you.
You don't want it yourself.
But unless you want to change yourself, nothing's going to fucking change.
That's it, man.
Simple as that. So, and unfortunately, Liam was in a position where he just didn't want to help himself, which is the saddest thing.
And what have you kind of, now that you're so mature mentally, from a mental health point, what would you say what would you have done differently if he was here now, for example? Do you know what I mean? Like, now knowing what you know, because you said obviously at 17 you didn't know half of the shit he was going through. You probably have seen it now, wouldn't you? Do you know what I mean?
I think for me, people become addicted to something because they're trying to overcome their own trauma. But for me, Liam couldn't escape that trauma because it was a tangible thing that happened to him, and that was what fucked him up, basically, and his own insecurities. It's a difficult question.
You couldn't have done anything different, could you?
You can't.
It was gonna,
And like I said before, like, some people might not believe this, but for me, Liam, for example, was driving round on Ket. He was on Ket all the time. If he'd not taken his own life, it would have got to a point where
someone else is.
It would have killed somebody else from driving around on it. And like I said, as much as I'd give him to be here right now, it happened for a reason. Because what I've done since he's died, the biggest achievement and the most fulfilling thing for me is somebody saying to me, you doing what you do has saved me from taking my own life.
Which is incredible.
Don't get me wrong, like, I like earning money and I'm driven, but there's nothing that comes close to the feeling of somebody saying that to you. And if Liam had not done what he did, then I wouldn't have somebody. Do you know what I mean?
So did you obviously you got in a dark place after that, I would assume, for quite some time.
Yeah.
And then is that where the talks kind of stemmed from, I'm assuming?
Yeah,
so a few years after you thought, do you know what, I'm going to teach people, I'm assuming?
Yeah, well, it was aligned with the furniture business, to be fair. So when Liam first did what he did, despite what I saw, obviously out of everybody, it was my mum that was affected the most, as you can imagine. And the worst mistake I made was that I saw how upset my mum was and obviously the rest of my family, and I just said to myself, right, I've seen what I've seen, fuck it, I'm just going to put it to the back of my mind, I'm going to forget about everything, I'm just going to make myself as busy as I possibly can, and that was the worst thing I could have done.
Absolutely.
And then 2 years later, it came back and bit me in the ass significantly, and then I was just in such a bad place, you know, suicidal and depressed, and the main reason, or one of the main reasons that I came out of it was because of my dad. Because my mum and dad are both remarried, but I still live with my dad, and he was, you know, saying to me, what's wrong, you don't seem yourself, and long story short, I was at a business event, and, you know, it went really bad, and added to my upset, and he went, what's wrong with you? And I just burst out crying, and I was in a suit like this in front of all these business owners and clients and whatnot, and I just said, I don't know, Dad, I'm just in such a bad place, I feel so down, and I can't put my finger on why I feel like this. And then he basically went, right, come on, and then took me home, and we sat down at our Liam's memorial bench, and we sat there for hours, and I just offloaded and cried and just spoke about everything, and, you know, he just sat there and listened. He didn't really say anything, he just listened to my problems, and, you know, I always say that the problem shared is a problem halved, and I think that from then was the starting point for me getting back to where I needed to be.
I'm assuming you didn't have that super open relationship, because I'm assuming he's quite old school, is he?
My dad's 60 next year, yeah.
Okay,
I mean, we're close. We are very, very close.
Is he quite an emotional character, though? So, do you know, you get your... Or not really, is he quite...
He
old
is
school?
he's emotional.
See, that's going to be helpful, though.
Yeah, he's
because
emotional.
Anyone out there who can't share stuff with the parents, maybe they have to go to someone else for that. Does that make sense? Do you know what I mean? Because some people won't tell the parents half the shit. Do you know?
I'm very lucky to have both my mum and dad. I've got a good relationship with both of them, and yeah, probably, I don't know where it would have gone if it wouldn't have kept nagging me and kept saying what's wrong and stuff. So
like literally just that talk with your dad almost sort
of
well, let's put you on the right path, sorry.
Yeah, obviously I had to deal with my own demons and overcome my own shit, but yeah, from there it started to get better and started to overcome it. But where the actual talk came about was, there's a school in Sheffield called King Edward's School, and the head of sixth form there is a lady called Bex, and she's a lovely lady, and I was dealing with her because they were kitting out this area, of the school, and we ended up getting really well, and you know, one thing led to another, and I was saying, I really want to do something speaking wise in schools. I sadly lost my brother, I had my own demons, and I feel like I want to share that with other people, but I don't know how to do it, I don't know what direction to go. And she's like, all right, yeah, that'd be really cool. And that was it, that was that conversation. And really sadly, what happened was, that was in the July, we then delivered all this furniture in August, and in September she rang me, she went, right, we need to get you back in and you need to speak to the kids as soon as possible. I went, why, what's up? She went, over the 6-week holidays, 2 kids took their own life. So I was like, fuck me.
How old are we talking?
So they were 16, in sixth form, so 15, 16, 17.
Is this quite a rough school? Or
No,
this
is quite one of the surprising things. It's in one of the more affluent areas of Sheffield.
Wow.
So I said, of course, like, yeah, now more than ever, obviously. So we then sat down over a period of weeks, and we then came up with now what is Tom's Talks. Obviously, since then I've developed it and improved it, but yeah, the initial stages of Tom's Talks. So this was the back end of 2018, and then in January 2019, I then stood in front of all these kids and then told my story. And then, you know, social media, as toxic as it is, it's also great for many things. Put it on, I said, oh, I'm really proud of myself, I've done this, and then just, yeah, from there. And
I'm assuming, obviously, it's going to give you, you know, a great high of helping all these people, but can you also turn it into a monetized business, or is it just literally for fulfillment now?
Oh, no. Yeah. So when I started it, so yeah, complete transparency, when I started it, I said I was, I'm going to do it for free, just donate to charity, but then I saw the opportunity when schools were like, no, we want to pay you. Of course. How much do you charge?
Because remember, it isn't the school paying, it's usually the government, you know, you're getting a bit of tax back.
So I said, okay then, what I'll do is, to make it fair, well, not to feel like I'm taking the piss or whatever, I said, you tell me how much you think the talk is worth, and then I'll take that, I'll give 10% back to charity.
That's a good way of doing it.
So they told me a number, and I said, fine, and then that's what I've charged.
Brilliant. So you are, not only are you getting, like I say, that sort of high off it, of helping all these people and these young kids, you get paid as well. Yeah. It's incredible.
Yeah. But to be fair, again, the money that I earn from Tom's Talks, I wouldn't really say I spend it on myself. I just reinvest it into
other business,
into content for Instagram. You know,
to help more.
You know what it's like with Instagram. You're trying to share as much as you can and grow your platform. And that's really much what I invested all back into, to be fair. So,
brilliant, man. It's brilliant.
No, I love it. I do love it. There's no better feeling than delivering that talk to people.
Do you want to kind of like take that anywhere? Do you want to maybe get a few guest speakers on and maybe like team up with some people? Do you see that growing at all, mate?
Yeah, so the next, so there's the coaching side and there's the talks, and the next big thing for that business is I'm going to hold an event in November where it'll be a 3-course meal. There'll be speakers, so there'll be myself, there's another speaker in Manchester who's really good called Danny Wilshire, and then I know a few influencers. A friend of mine was on Love Island, get his audience. Cool. One of my other friends is a professional boxer who's undefeated, future world champ, get him involved. You know, just hold this massive event and just get as many people as we can there, and you know, just have this real buzz about it.
And is that more for coaching, i.e. helping people succeed, or is it more so mental health? What's that?
Both.
Oh, really? The whole package for guys specifically?
Yeah. To be fair though, I started the coaching more aimed at guys, but I've got one lady that's joined, which was quite surprising. But when she told me her story and whatnot, we made it a good fit for her.
Okay.
So now I've just said,
Anybody that needs help.
Yeah, if I can help you, I will.
So let's say someone who would be the perfect client coming to you then for the coaching aspect. Is it someone that just wants to absolutely smash it, get the business to, you know, turning over more money than ever? What is it? What do you think they're...
So it's an interesting question, that, because if you'd have said that to me before I started, I could have said somebody that's got no routine, that is unfortunately struggling with depression, and I just need to basically say, right, change X, Y, Z, and you'll start to feel a lot better. But the most rewarding thing I've had since starting the business, which was really surprising to me, was now a friend of mine. He is an online coach. I'll not say his name because I don't think he wants to be mentioned, but he basically messaged me and said, Tom, I tried to take my own life at the weekend. I was like, fucking hell, okay. I was like, in the most genuine way possible, I started this coaching business to help people like you. You know, why don't we jump on a call? We'll see what's what, and if it works, it works. So he jumped on a call, started the coaching. He sent me a message a week later. It was like, you've changed my life.
Wow.
Like, I've not had a negative thought in 48 hours. He went, thanks so much.
So you are Mr. Positive.
I was like, fucking hell, I can't ask for more than that, can I?
Incredible, man.
So,
incredible. Yeah. So basically, for anybody who's a bit down, who's a bit lost, give you a message.
You give me a message.
Give you a message. So, and do you basically check on people daily? Do you have like different packages? How does it work then?
Yeah, so I become obviously been from the background that you are from, you know, you deal with a lot of online coaches. I basically took that online coach business model, and rather than being for your physique, which there is an element of that in there, it's for your mindset. Right. So Kahunas is the app that I'm using.
Right.
Circle is another platform I'm using. But rather than asking what your scale weight is, I'll say,
how are you feeling?
How are you feeling?
How's your week been?
Have you practiced gratitude today?
You're a psychologist, basically. I've just literally come from a psychology session. I'm not joking.
Really?
11 till 12, yeah. I pay him a lot of money, to be fair, yeah. So you might be the cheaper version.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
So, and how do you what are your like KPIs on that then? I'm assuming if you get someone who's down in the dumps and not really doing very well, and then you turn them into someone that's super happy and shitting positivity, it's a win.
100%.
I'm
I'd say that's the biggest KPI there is,
I'm assuming you try your best to keep the client,
well,
as long as possible.
Yeah, so what I say to them on the first initial call, I'll take them through the steps, I'll take them through the phases, I'll talk them through the app and everything like that, and I'll say, you know, if I'm any good at my job, you will not be with me for very long.
Get you.
The point of this is to make you have these habits and you hold yourself accountable. Obviously, I'm there with you initially, but like I said, if I'm any good at this, then I won't be with you for very long.
Where did you learn all this though? Was it all literally self-help, or was it psychologists? Was it, you know, obviously after your stint of depression and doing all the talks, was it literally all YouTube?
It has been within myself.
Wow.
I've probably similar to yourself, you know, I've been very big into self-development for a very long time. Read a number of books, watched a number of videos and stuff like that, and all I've really done is I've took what I've read in these books, I've implemented it in my own life, and I thought, fucking hell, this works. Like gratitude and the cold water therapy, and I basically say to these clients, it's working for me, so give it a try, see what you think. If it doesn't, then we'll try something else.
Is there one book or podcast or audio book or whatever that you feel like if anyone's going to take out from this, what should they listen to or read that you think was the one?
I think one guy in particular you should follow on Instagram is Andrew Huberman.
Okay.
Have you come across him?
Okay, I don't think I
He's
have.
a neuroscientist.
Right.
So basically, fucking hell, I could go on about this all day.
Go on.
But so the reason why people struggle with depression or some form of mental illness is because you have a chemical imbalance in your brain.
Of course.
So you've got 4 main hormones that are attributed or contribute towards your mood. So you have dopamine, endorphins, oxytocin, and serotonin. Now there's different ways that your body releases, or there's different things you do that then makes you release these different hormones.
Of course.
So dopamine, for example, your body releases dopamine in a few different ways. The good way is by setting yourself a goal, working really hard, the reward from that, putting yourself in an uncomfortable position and then growing from it, i.e. getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, jumping in a cold shower.
Yeah.
No one wants to do that,
No.
but you do it and you think, fucking hell, that felt good.
Did it? Yeah.
But then, unfortunately, there's other ways like taking cocaine, drinking alcohol, eating shit food.
Does nicotine do that, by the way?
I would
Is
imagine.
that why everyone's on the vape?
Maybe, yeah, I would
Right,
imagine
okay.
so. But then the difference is between the two is like when you do this hard work reward, you get dopamine, but you get it for a very long period of time. Whereas you take recreational drugs or
Short hit.
it's up and then it's down. And this is all what I've learned from
Peaks and troughs.
Andrew Huberman, basically. Not only him, but a lot of it from him. And he says that, let's say, for example, you do a line of cocaine. Your dopamine, this is the reason why people take it, because your dopamine goes through the roof. You feel really, really good, but then it comes down just as fast. And every hormone in your body, you have a baseline of this hormone. And when you take that drug, for example, it goes up, but then it comes down and your baseline drops with it. That's why you want to take more.
Wow.
And that's why it's really addictive.
Of course, get you. Whereas if you're doing it naturally, like cold water
Yeah.
therapy, it's a little spike and then baseline.
Yeah.
Spike, baseline.
But then it increases your baseline.
Wow, get you, right.
Yeah, yeah.
So go on, what was that guy again?
Andrew Huberman.
So everyone follow him.
Yeah, neuroscientist. Unbelievable.
So it was all literally self-taught.
Pretty much, yeah. I do want to do, I am in the process of looking at doing a proper certified life coaching course though.
Amazing.
It's I set myself a goal at the beginning of the year and I said by the end of the year, so I just need to get it booked.
So how many clients would you think you'd safely be able to look after without frying your own brain?
Yeah, good
Do you know what I
question.
mean? How many do you currently look after?
So I've launched it, I think about 3 weeks ago and I'm currently looking after 12 clients so far.
Wow.
Which I'm happy with, really happy with that.
Do you feel like you're overworked or you're all right? Still all right?
Still all right, yeah.
Okay, so that's your limit for now until you maybe train someone else up.
I think not the frustrating bit, I think the stressful side of things has been that, like I mentioned earlier, that at the moment I'm currently in the busiest time of the year with OSI. So I'm currently managing all that and then doing that. But then given maybe the end of September, it will start to drop off.
So you'll be able to give a bit more time to
So
it.
I might have a bit more time for that. But, you know, it was a shot in the dark, you know. I didn't know how it was going to work. I didn't know if it was going to work. I didn't know how it was going to take off. So I just said, the only thing I can do is try. If it fails, I'll learn from it. If it doesn't, then great.
Are you taking any of it home with you? I know I still do.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I still do personal training because I enjoy making people feel good.
Yeah.
If they come in and they're a bit down and they leaving 10% happier, that gives me a lot of satisfaction. So yeah, it's
100%.
not really for the money. It doesn't really earn me a right lot of anything in comparison to, you know, businesses. But I don't want to be that fake gym owner that doesn't personal train.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? Like
that's where you got a passion from it, wasn't it?
This is it, man. I could never be an online coach because I need that face-to-face interaction.
Yeah.
Personally, I do. There's nothing worse than more computer time. I do enough fucking computer time. Do you know what I mean? So I feel as though, yeah, I get a lot from it, but I do take a lot home with me. And I'll be like, this client was upset today, and I'm thinking, shit, how do I make that better? Do you feel like it affects you if someone's?
It used to affect me a lot. So when I first started on the mental health advocate journey, if you want to call it that, you know, I'd get inundated with messages from people saying, "Oh, Tom, I'm really struggling. I'm depressed. What do you recommend?" And emotionally, it used to really affect me.
Yeah, I can't help them all.
Yeah, but eventually, and I know my mum spoke to me quite in depth about it. She went, "You can't help everybody. You know, don't feel like you have to reply to everybody because one, you don't have time, and two, it's going to emotionally drain you." She said, "You need to find a balance." And obviously, you know, as you grow older, you get more mature emotionally, mentally. I've been able to do that. And especially recently, I put one video on TikTok and it went viral, if you want to call it viral. Ended up getting about 3 million views. But on the back of that, I got fucking flooded with people messaging me. And there was a point where I feel like I want to reply to everyone, but you physically can't. So you just got to find that balance. really.
Will you just kind of like set a time per day, per week to actually respond to a couple, maybe?
Something like that, yeah. But I think the difference for me is that you read some of it, you think, fucking hell,
waste of time.
What are you on about?
Yeah.
But then you read some of them, you think, oh, generally, actually, you're in a bad place and I want to help you.
Yeah.
But then sometimes you can't tell the difference between the two.
Because of the face-to-face interaction. I'm assuming when you do the coaching, do you do a lot of it like virtually with videos and not just messages?
Yeah, both. So at the minute, because like you said earlier, you know, personal touch, being a people person, I wanted to offer as much value as I possibly could to make sure people were getting the money's worth. So I was going to do a Loom video, but then I thought, fuck that's not offering enough value. So I'm going to do it one-on-one on a Zoom call initially.
Perfect.
But again, you know what it's like scaling a business. You're one person with 24 hours in a day. It's going to get to a point where I can't physically do that. So either you just say, you know, you have a structure in place where if you want a one-to-one call, it's an additional so much.
Yes.
Or I just
people would pay for that.
Just relook at it. Yeah.
People would definitely pay
for
that.
One guy on LinkedIn, he booked a call, and I was stumped after. I was like, fuck, I should charge more. But he said to me after I went through everything, I'm like, so it's $89.99 a month, or you can pay 3 months. I thought you were going to tell me about $5,000.
Yeah, easy.
And I'm like,
people will pay.
I'm like,
for
it's
that,
$5,000.
Yeah. Honestly, though, people will pay for that straight away. Listening to you straight away, you are a positive, motivated person. I'm like, I need people like this in my life. Do you know what I mean? How much do you want here? Do you know what I mean? Like, because you automatically, I think you get to a set point where you're like, you need help leveling up. You can't do it without the help, the assistance of other people.
I think the thing with it was like, obviously, I had no credibility in the game. I couldn't just start coaching then off the bat. It doesn't matter
though, if people like you,
I get that.
and you're already helping them for X amount, they'll pay. God, honestly, it's
that's
endless.
There was a guy that I worked with called Ben Hawksworth, who was unbelievable with what he does, a good guy, and it was his business that helped me scale it. But he basically helped scale online coaches, and then I approached him and said, I've got this idea, you know, let's book a call, but you know, between us we agreed we'll start low ticket, see what interaction we get, see how it goes, and then from there we can scale it. So that's what we're doing.
Best of luck, my man.
No,
thank you very much for everything, mate.
No, cheers, mate.
Thank you, man.
Appreciate it. Thank you.